Welcome to this Christmas edition of the Fishbowl Radio. Without further ado, let me introduce everybody to everyone's favorite co-host, the one and only Juicy. How's it going, Juicy?
Oh, it's pretty good, man. What a heck of an entrance. I wasn't gonna go for say favorite, but since it's a Christmas episode, ho ho ho, Merry Christmas, Fishbowl Nation.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Fishbowl Nation. We got a plethora of Christmas presents we're gonna give to everybody here today. So, we're gonna throw it all out there and see what y'all think here. We do have a group, College Bowl Pick'em group that's going on throughout the whole thing. I know if you haven't joined our group and if you already have an entry, we would greatly appreciate it if you would join our group as well. Even though Juicy hasn't even joined our group yet, but hey, it is the season for giving, so it's free. You ain't gotta pay anything. It's just bragging rights. So if you like doing that, we do have another person that has joined it. So, and you see, that's the way it's going. All right, so let's talk about this Independence Bowl. The Raging Cajun will be playing Friday. Juicy, what do you think of this game here? Because Houston's got a very potent passing attack, but the Cajuns are very good at defending the pass. What do you think about that upcoming matchup in that game with the Cajuns taking on Houston? It's going to be brutally cold, so.
Yeah, the wind's gonna be blowing a lot too, and I'm not sure how much of that is gonna affect the passing attack. I know Houston normally, they used to warm weather games, slinging the ball around, but this is an odd situation kind of for both teams because neither UL nor Houston should be used to cold weather. So I think honestly, it's gonna turn into more. I think Houston's gonna have to run the ball a little bit more, but they might be stubborn at first and try to pass because Dana Holgorsen loves to pass. I see Houston leads the all-time series against UL 6-3, but UL won the last matchup all the way back in 2006 with the last time they played each other. So I'm excited to see this matchup. Excited to see how UL is prepared for this possible passing attack, and hopefully the Cajuns can give us our early Christmas present and upset Houston since they're the underdogs.
Well, like the Cajuns are only like if you look at the public voting and stuff like that on College Bowl Mania here, only like I think 7 or 9% of people have actually voted for the Cajuns to win. Now, granted, is that diehards voting for the Cajuns to win, or is that the general population kind of like somebody skewing towards there? Houston is a favorite in this game, so I think the one thing the Cajuns do have a couple of opt-outs on their defensive side of their ball. Andre Jones isn't playing linebacker, so they're gonna have a couple of freshmen come in there and fill the gap
Against their passing attack.
So it's gonna be kind of these times for these guys to step up, next man up mentality is definitely gonna be one of those things in this game here for the Cajuns to include on defense here. So granted, these bowls ain't as important as they used to be. The only good thing about a bowl is you get extra practices where these freshmen, in this particular situation, can come in, get some in-game reps to improve for next season. So that's kind of, they did lose their luster, even with the transfer portal and NIL, that kind of thing going on.
Well, I think you should not be able to opt out of bowl games.
That's a debate I think you can have. I mean, I understand, like, if you're...
Will the landscape of college football change?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons, and, part of the problem with the opting out and opting in or whatever else it is, with the opt-out situation, you're protecting your body from injury. If you've had a Zion Hill-Green's playing for the Cajun, that was a big plus to their defense, getting him to play in this bowl game. But he also is like in the record books for the Cajuns, so he's going to be trying to extend that record.
And I'll add this. I know like players look out for themselves for the draft and not get hurt or whatever, but I might be wrong, or people could disagree, might disagree, but being a former football player myself and whatever, I think it's pretty selfish that players opt out of bowl games because I always like to be there with. I always like to play like next to my brothers. We started this journey. We go through this whole journey together, no matter where it ends up at, no matter what bowl we play in. Even if we don't make a bowl game, I always have the mentality that no matter what, don't be selfish. You ride, you die together. That's what I always believe.
You see, that's the argument, right? So you start this journey together, and you didn't quite finish it here. Can you really call them a brother in arms at that point? But I mean, but on the flip side of that, you'd be like, you know what? I understand that this guy is saving himself for the NFL or the USFL or XFL, where he's going to make more money than he would playing in this bowl game here, which you got higher standards, right? You're trying to get into these, or even the Canadian Football League, like Levi Lewis is playing in.
I know, like an example of what you're saying though, is like Matt Corral last year, but decided he could have opted out, and he could have opted out and been like, well, I'm gonna save myself for the draft, but he decided to stick it out, and he was like, well, I'm gonna play with my brothers. We started this together, and we're gonna play in the Sugar Bowl together. We ended up tearing his ACL in the Sugar Bowl. That's one case of the argument for the other side. That if he'd opted out, he would have pulled his ACL.
But I mean, if it was gonna happen, it was gonna happen anyway.
Exactly.
I think that's kind of like you could save your body a couple hits. I don't think going through one game really.
It could have happened in any regular
Yeah,
game.
it's devil's advocate, right? I mean, injuries are part of the sport. So if you take that risk, is it maybe in his situation? I know Matt Corral is different, but maybe he was playing for a first round pick, okay? Like Kayshon Boutte coming back to LSU this year.
I know he's playing in the bowl game.
He's playing in the bowl game because he had such a bad year that it would have dropped his draft prospects. That's why he's staying another year, because he didn't have that great of a season this year compared to Malik Neighbors and the rest of these guys on the squad. So, I mean, it's not us calling him out. It's just the facts of what the stats and the numbers don't lie this year. But Kayshon Boutte.
Some people saying that Matt Corral should have sat out maybe, but I respect him for playing. Like, he could have sat out. He could have took the easy way out. I like that he went out there and put it out there. When he didn't have to do that.
Should they play in the bowl game? I mean, it's not guaranteed you're going to even get to a bowl game, first of all. Like everybody, we all start out 0-0, 0-0, and you got to try to get to 6 wins to get bowl eligibility. Granted, you got to only win 1 FCS game. You can't win 2 FCS games. You only need to win 1, and that's your limit right there. So, it's like, I think, okay, let's say if you're getting an NIL deal, I think you should be playing in that bowl game. I think them sponsors should be making you play them bowl games. I think if you're getting money because you're getting paid for a service, right? You're getting paid to represent my brand out there. You should be out there playing football, not trying to skip out. I think if in an NIL situation, I would do that. But if I wasn't getting any NIL money and I was like, I wouldn't play in the bowl game if I wasn't making any money off of it. Granted, which I don't know in certain situations, them guys can get, but if they're making money to play in that bowl game representing a brand because you signed on because you're let's say cornerback, quarterback, running back, whatever position you play for. I'm going to use Gordon McKernan because he sponsors almost every single college football player in the state, basically.
He's got a bunch of UL players now.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So if I'm out there to represent Gordon McKernan, and I'm a wide receiver, okay, and I play my 12 games. Let's say we end up with a record 8-4, okay? I'm just going to use it as an example. And I go, and we got a chance to play a bowl game. Now, granted, we're not playing for a national championship. We're not playing for anything.
But you're still getting paid and sponsored to play every game that they play.
I think you pay they paid you to be sponsored. So if you're not gonna play in that game, they should pull that NIL deal from you. You shouldn't get paid for like.
I think they can opt out of the bowl games, and the sponsor can opt out of sponsors.
Yeah, I think that should be it. You know that. I don't know how. I don't know like the language of NIL deals, how they actually work. If it sounds like it's a sponsorship, and they're paying you for representation of their brand, whatever they're trying to represent. So if that's the case here, these people are throwing out thousands, and I mean thousands of dollars to these players.
Millions of dollars.
I mean, well, I'm just gonna say thousands because this is kind of like grand scope of like. I'm only talking about G5 schools because we're talking about UL still playing Houston. So, and I know LSU and Purdue's coming up too, but I think that's kind of an interesting discussion that we have here, right? Because NIL has definitely changed the way. Like yesterday, I was like, "Oh, it's National Signing Day," but then I was like, "Wait a second!" Like I wasn't as excited as I would normally be for National Signing Day.
Now, a majority of the players they sign do end up staying, especially the ones that contribute a lot, get a lot of playing time.
Which I completely get why people transfer. I don't hate people that transfer. I think the transfer portal could be a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. There's a double-edged sword with it because, like LSU needed a quarterback, right? Jaden Daniels stepped in, did very well. Some people were concerned about it, which is very normal, right? It takes time for you to adjust to a new system, which is what happened with Jaden Daniels during the first couple.
Turned out all right. Turned out to be.
So yeah, but like, look, we'll see until next year how well he actually does because they have a year of film on him. So we'll see how next year how actually good of a quarterback he actually is. Because first year you could take someone by storm, the next year they suck.
Well, you say that, but they've had people that have had film on him already, and he's so fast he just ran right by people most of the time.
Hey, I'm just pointing out the specs,
right,
you know.
You're right. You're right.
These guys are smart. Anyway, the Cajuns introduced 22 new players. They signed their national letter of intent during National Signing Day yesterday. The Raging Cajuns will play Houston on Friday on the Independence Bowl. And they added 9 in-state prospects to the class with 6 players from Texas, 5 from Mississippi, and 1 from both Arkansas and Florida. The Cajuns added 9 linemen, 4 offensive linemen, and 5 defensive linemen to a class with 5 wide receivers, 3 linebackers, 2 tight ends, and 2 defensive backs, and a running back. So here's part of the signing class here. John Brogg, offensive lineman, 6'4", 265 from Austin, Texas. Harvey Broussard, wide receiver, 6'2", 185 from St. Martinville. Matthew Broussard, offensive lineman, 6'3", 285 from Thibodeau. Xavier, offensive lineman, 6'6", 305 from Ashdown, Arkansas. Mason Clint, defensive lineman, 6'5", 270 from Petal, Mississippi. Xavier Coleman, defensive lineman, 6'2", 270 from Pecan, Mississippi. I'm sorry if I butchered some of these words. Picayune, yeah. Picayune.
Yeah,
Picayune. Yeah, Elijah Davis, running back, 5'10", 5'10", 210 pounds from Reserve, Louisiana. Chase Edwards, defensive lineman, 6'7", 250 from Houston, Texas. Trey Fight. Wait, I wonder what these asterisks are for. Will enroll. Okay, these are people that are going to enroll in January 2023, so they get an early start. That's good for them. Trey Fight, linebacker, 6'4", 225 from Tatum, Texas. Cooper Fordham, offensive lineman, 6'2", 300 pounds from Jacksonville, Florida. Javion Hayes, wide receiver, 5'9", 180 pounds from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Cody Jackson, safety, 6'1", 185 from Shreveport, Louisiana. AJ J-Rowe, wide receiver, 6'4", 190 from Frisco, Texas. So, you know what I noticed a lot about these wide receivers so far? They're like 6'3" and higher. A lot of them.
6 foot plus.
Yeah. Caden Jensen, tight end, 6'6", 250 from Flower Mound, Texas.
That's a big old tight end.
Yeah, Micah Johnson, linebacker. Micah? Yeah, I think Michah Johnson. Linebacker, 6'1", 225. Like the first day of class, right? Got for a teacher trying to learn everybody's name. Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Why, Ron?
Kadarius Miller, defensive end, 6'2", 300 pounds from Magnolia, Mississippi. Jeremiah Moses, cornerback, 6', 180 from Shreveport, Louisiana. Thaylon Sibley, linebacker, 6', 210 from Lake Charles, Louisiana. Tavion Smith, wide receiver, 6'3", 205 from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Ty Stemmy, tight end, 6'5", 225 from Spring, Texas. Kedarius Wade, 6'4", 195 from Jackson, Mississippi, wide receiver. Lance Williams, defensive lineman, 6'2", 250 from New Orleans, Louisiana. And that's your signings here. So signing capsules, okay. So I'm gonna look on 24/7, and I'll give y'all the final kind of thing here. I mean, you still got till February to do your kind of if I want to stay or if I want to go kind of thing here. So, Juicy, let's pick this Independence Bowl. Who you think wins? You got the Cougars or you got the Cajuns?
Man, I'd love to pick the Cajuns, but I just don't know. They have the two big opt-outs on defense, and bowl games tend to. It's hard to pick bowl games really because teams have balanced each other out with opt-outs and whatever. But I'm just gonna go with the Cougars. I hope I'm wrong. I hope UL gives me a early Christmas gift and wins. But I just see the Cougars passing attack being a little too much for the Cajuns.
I gotta disagree with you, dude.
That's fine.
Look, I'm thinking it's cold, right? Both these teams ain't used to playing in this cold weather here, but I think it's going to make it harder on the passing game with that kind of wind speed in that game here. We got a north wind coming up through with that Arctic blast coming in. That ball is not going to be thrown quite.
It's going to be live in the Independence Bowl.
Yeah, we're going to be over there if the roads don't freeze over. If 5-degree wind chill weather, the Fishbowl Nation's gonna be over there for the Independence Bowl. We got our tickets and everything, so we're ready to rock and roll out there. But
unusual for Louisiana.
Yeah, that's a 5-degree wind chill. But look, you better wear your long johns because it's gonna be a very, very cold game. Get some hot hands, get some toe warmers because it's gonna be a cold one. But I'm gonna go with the Cajuns though. I think the Cajun defense will do just enough, and I think having that game against Texas State really is gonna help out this offense and give them a little bit more confidence. And I think this offensive line is gonna do very well. This is the kind of weather that offensive line should do really well, and really just stick it to that defensive line. Just like it's their game to eat, right? It's the game for offensive lines to eat. So I'm hoping the Cajun offensive line is better than Houston's defensive line, and I think the Cajuns will win the line of scrimmage in this game. Give me the Cajuns to beat Houston in the Independence Bowl on Friday.
That's fair.
All right, our next bowl game we're gonna pick here is LSU versus Purdue. So Juicy, what you think about Purdue and Drew Brees is gonna be on the sideline for Purdue? Think it'll make a big difference?
Jeff Saturday done started something now.
Wait, what?
Jeff Saturday done started something now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I understand that, Drew Brees is Purdue alumni. I get that. You know what? I disagree with Drew Brees doing it, which is why I hope LSU really puts it to him just for doing something like that. But, Drew Brees he's even eligible to recruit too, because of a waiver, so he can actually recruit for Purdue along with coaching, which is interesting to me.
Yeah. I think so. Looking at both these teams, LSU scores about 32 points a game. Purdue's about 28. Uh, First downs on the year, LSU has the edge with 318, and Purdue's got 307. And rushing yards on the year, LSU overwhelmingly beats Purdue 2,354 to Purdue 1,600. Yeah, and LSU averaged about 4.8 yards a rush. They averaged about 3.7 passing yards. LSU a little bit behind them with 3,401, and Purdue's at 3,734. So as far as taking
opting out though, so
with Purdue starting quarterback opting out, I think LSU should win this one. I say by 10 points, Juicy. I just don't see it here. LSU's the more penalized team. It seems like average yards per game, but Purdue seems like they commit more egregious penalties. Time of possession, they're about dead even. 1 minute goes to Purdue. So I have LSU winning this game. What you think, Juicy?
Yeah, I think LSU's gonna win this one too. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. I think the spread's right on point, being the Purdue starting quarterbacks opting out.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens here. I do have LSU winning that game. So let me think here. So back to recruiting. LSU finished with the 8th best recruiting class overall. The Cajuns finished with the 4th best one. They went up 2 spots from yesterday. Average recruiting specs on 24/7 now, which I don't give these specs really that much merit to them because it's recruiting. It's a projection. Because the Cajuns were at 84 yesterday. They dropped down to an 82.16 today. And here's the weird thing. Texas State always has these high average levels of recruits. Like they're at 84.75, but they're always at the bottom of the Sun Belt Conference. So either they're setting these if you look at Texas State, they should be running this conference. Like they have a lot of resources in that regard. That's kind of the thing. And every year, everybody expects it's your Texas State that does it, but they never do it. And until then, I mean, on 24/7, they had LSU at 6.
That's what I'm off of is 24/7.
I was watching SEC Now just 30 minutes ago, and they had them at 8th. And so I don't like these sites all have kind of different recruiting ratings. Alabama's number 1, Georgia's.
My official one.
Yeah, I mean you use which one you want. So I mean the power composite, they have a team talent calculator. They have a transfer portal ranking. So I mean it is what it is. It's gonna be interesting to see where all that happens. So we'll see. I mean it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with all these teams here. So LSU, Travis Hunter, Colorado transfer reuniting with Deion Sanders with Portal's #1 player, makes media take note. Yeah, you guys see a lot of this transfer portal stuff happen. I mean, it's gonna happen.
The big pickup for LSU was Lance Hurd, the 5-star offensive tackle.
Yeah, LSU really beat up their offensive line. Cajuns really looked at their offensive line too. So that I think both those things will pull off. We'll see what happens though. I mean, look, I think you see them new recruits coming in. If you're a starter, that's more competition for you. Those guys are gunning for your spot, so you better show up and show out, right? So. And I mean that some players rise to the occasion, some players falter. That's just the way of the beast. So we'll see what happens there. So let's switch on over to basketball, Juicy. Cajuns, the women beat LSU A 81-50, or LSU Alexandria, whatever you want to call them. I call them LSU A. They'll play conference play next with Georgia State. With their next 3 games for the Cajuns are Georgia State. That's next Thursday. They got Coastal Carolina on Saturday and Southern Miss on that next Thursday coming up. In case we can't do an episode, we'll pick the Georgia State game. I think the Cajuns are going to lose to Georgia State though. Who you got, Juicy? I got them losing next week. They're 6-6
Yeah,
right now, but I got them losing their conference opener.
I agree with you. I think the Cajuns gonna drop that one as well.
Okay, so now we're gonna go to the men's side. That was the women's. Cajuns lost a big game to Texas last night. They're now 10-2 on the year. Here, Cajuns fell 100-72 to Texas last night. Texas is ranked number 7 in the country. So the two losses the Cajuns have so far this year have been to very good teams. Drake's a very good team. Texas is a very good team. But they play Coastal. They play Coastal next Thursday. So I think Cajuns beat Coastal to win their conference opener. And then they'll end up beating Old Dominion, I think. I think they'll go start off 2-0. What you thinking, Juicy?
You know, I'm feeling your vibes on that. I can see that. I think 2-0 definitely. I would even go as far as Southern Miss. No game after Old Dominion. I would think 3-0 start off.
Because I think this Cajun team is going to really make a deep run this year in the Sun Belt Conference tournament. Might even win the whole entire thing. They're definitely, in my opinion, one of the top 3 teams in the Sun Belt currently, as we're talking on this podcast right now. So
Bob definitely needs that after last year.
yeah, I mean that what saved his job last year was that tournament run. I think that motivation. He had a personal loss last year. And that can spur you, to greatness and going through that kind of level, right? And brings out the best in you. So I think we might be seeing the best of Bob Marlin. We'll hope to see. On the flip side, let's talk about LSU basketball here. They're going to start conference play. Everybody's starting conference play. It's that time of year. They ended up beating Eastern Tennessee on Wednesday, 72-68. They play Arkansas to open up the conference schedule on next Wednesday. Juicy, what you thinking? LSU's 11-1 in men's basketball. Who you got?
Man, I know LSU's had a great start to the season so far. KJ Williams really is a stud for him. LSU struggled at times, but they had a couple of. They have a good loss in a close game with Kansas State. Wake Forest is not a terrible team. They beat them. Wofford. I'm going through the schedule here. Wofford makes the NCAA tournament a good bit. But I think Arkansas is just a little bit more talented, got a little bit more depth. But I think Arkansas is gonna win this game. Honestly, I think they're gonna drop Kentucky too. But if they can find a way to split those 2 games, it'd be nice. But I don't see it happening.
Well, they got them at home Wednesday, so I'm thinking that I think LSU is gonna beat Arkansas.
And get his first SEC win.
I think LSU is gonna beat Arkansas. I see them losing to Kentucky. I think they'll split. Like I think that's the perfect case scenario. I've seen it.
Find a way to split those 2.
I think they'll get it done. I think they'll find a way. Like I think these first 2 games. I think in the women's side too. We don't really know much about the women's team here. They look like they're really good.
I feel much more confident about the women though than I do about.
Well, here's the thing about the women. They haven't played anybody yet.
Yes, I know, but the men haven't played technically. Anymore.
Well, like you mentioned, Wake Forest and Kansas State. Those 2 teams.
Yeah, they got a couple of good games in there, yeah.
So I'm pretty bit more confident about the men so far from what I've seen based on level of competition. So I'm gonna go with a split. I say 1-1. I think that's a good way to start it out here. I'm not really sure on whether you guys see how good you are against your peers here. LSU women's though, they haven't played anybody yet, so I'm nervous about this Arkansas game because they can go in there and get walloped, and you'd be like, wait, what happened? Oregon State, I think that's their best win. The women. I'm looking at their schedule right now.
I'm still looking at the men. I know it's on the women.
We're gonna switch over to the women here and pick that game, but looking at it here, that's their best win. But they did beat Oregon State by a good margin though too. I'm gonna pick them beating Arkansas and beating Vanderbilt. I think they'll start 2-0. I think Mulkey is going to have them ready to play, and Kim Mulkey's going to have them ready to play in their conference opener. So I've got them going 2-0. What you thinking, Juicy?
I have to agree with you. I know I'm just more confident in the women because in the competition that they play, they pretty much blown out everybody. And Oregon State's their best win, and they beat them by a pretty good margin. But the reason why I'm really confident is because Kim Mulkey is like one of the greatest women's basketball coaches in college basketball. So that's the reason why I'm really confident in him because of how great of a head coach he is. I definitely think they'll start 2-0 for sure for conference play, mostly because of Kim Mulkey, which is why I'm really confident in the women, much more than the men.
So yeah, here's the crazy thing: LSU women's basketball and men's basketball posted that the tie for best combined record in men and women. They're 23-1. That's impressive, no matter how you slice it there. Like it's just gonna be one of those things here. So LSU's recruiting class looks really strong coming in. They signed Louisiana's all-time leading rusher Trey Holly yesterday, and Shelton Sampson Jr., 5-star prospect. So it's going to be one of those, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with all this here and how all that comes to be. I think we're going to be in for a good football season, kind of winding down to an end here. We're kind of in the later stages of it here, getting into college ball playoff games, which we're going to pick those right now, Juicy.
Oh, we're picking the college ball playoff?
We're going to kick the college ball playoff games. I want to save that maybe for next week, but I don't know how our schedule is since I got you on here. I want to hear your voice on what you guys think who wins between Georgia's taking on Ohio State. Who you got in that game?
I gotta switch back here. Hold on. We're switching. I gotta switch back to football. Let's see.
Before we close out the show. Georgia versus Ohio State.
Let's see. All right.
I want to see what the spreads are on this game. I hadn't even really had a. What's this?
What are the games played on New Year? Yeah, there we go. I found them. Okay. I got the spreads and everything. Georgia and Ohio State. Well, let's see. I know Ohio State got trounced. I remember Ohio State got trounced by Michigan a few weeks ago in rivalry week. But I still think Ohio State's better than that. I think it was kind of just a fluke game. I think they just had a bad game. C.J. Stroud, I really think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. But the thing that scares me about Georgia is their defense is ranked number 1, but LSU did put up over 500 passing yards. If Ohio State's looking for something, LSU did put up over 500 passing yards against them in the SEC championship game. If they're looking for one way to attack them, for sure. And then C.J. Stroud being a mobile quarterback with a strong arm. You know what? I'm gonna go with the upset, man. I'm gonna go with the Buckeyes here because they're the underdogs in this game.
Man, I really believe Georgia is the best team this year, and I think they're going to win the national championship.
Being the best team doesn't necessarily mean you're the best team.
Look, you got a couple of lucky bounces, and man, that's a whole different game right there. But
best team on that day.
It really depends on that, really. But this is a New Year's Eve game, 7:00. So I wanted to spread 6.5. I think Stetson Bennett and
man, I'm just saying though, man, their defense too. I don't know.
Ohio State, look, their biggest game Ohio State played in this year was against Michigan, okay? Against premier competition, because the rest of the Big Ten wasn't as good this year as like these other ones. So I'm thinking that Ohio State hasn't played the level of competition Georgia has. They didn't play Tennessee, they didn't play LSU, and these like top 15 ranked, Florida. It's just, and these teams have played each other very well. So I think Georgia's going to beat Ohio State. That's what I got winning this game. All right, carrying on to our next one. TCU versus Michigan. So, this one's a toss-up to me. I'm thinking that TCU, I like that Michigan's been there before, and I feel like that's very important, if you will.
Give Harbaugh started getting them to the playoffs because everybody was getting that. So.
Yeah, that's So that's the thing. That's the thing that I think a lot of us are trying to figure out. Like, is TCU gonna be ready for this in their face kind of thing? TCU's had very scary moments.
Yeah, like they almost lost to Baylor.
They ended up catching up with them in the Big 12 championship game. How will they rally back? Luckily they were undefeated up to that point, but they definitely made it by the skin of their teeth too. Michigan, they've almost lost some close games themselves. So,
TCU.
Since 2014, when the college football playoff began, teams with a 10-0 record or better were 1-18 when trailing by 7 or more points in the fourth quarter. In 2018, Alabama overcame a 28-21 deficit the Georgia Bulldogs in the SEC title game and went on to win 35-28. Again, the Frogs and Wolverines matched that feat and all before when the time of this game plays at 3 o'clock Central Time. So it's just gonna be one of those games here. I think Michigan wins though. Give me the Wolverines.
I have to agree with you. I think TCU never been there before. Kudos to them on a great season for getting there. I just have to agree with you. I think I'm much more confident in Blake Corum and Michigan, the offense to get it done. So I like the Ohio State Michigan rematch in the national championship.
Ohio State Michigan rematch. I got Georgia versus Michigan. So we'll see. All Big Ten championship game, national championship game, or we're gonna have an SEC versus Big Ten. So we might have a rematch of last year's semifinal.
I think it'd be crazy. One of the biggest rivals in college football now is playing for a national championship, which would add even more.
Oh yeah, I think that would be a great storyline to tell for sure if Ohio State would have pulled it off against Georgia. But we're kind of split on that one. We'll see what happens, but we'll see. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Fishbowl Radio here, everybody. We're gonna see y'all next week with a new episode here. We'll cover up the Cajuns. We'll review the bowl game situation against Houston and kind of look ahead toward the 2023 season for Raging Cajun football. Yeah, and then we're going to go switch over to basketball. We're getting close to the baseball season. That's about another 2 months away. Probably actually less than that, honestly.
For all you football fans out there, at least there's football pretty much all year round now with college football wrapping up. Start the playoffs, but then the XFL starts right after that.
And then the USFL. I think
they're in July, so we got football all year round.
I wonder which one's going to last longer. You think USFL is going to outlast the XFL?
I think they're both going to last as long as they stay in the same slot that they in and they don't interfere with each other or with the NFL. I think they can last a while, actually, as long as they don't try to overtake the NFL.
Yeah, until they actually start like getting like the like number one product. Like they have to change. The players have to be like, yeah, NFL ain't for me and go that way. But that's not gonna happen until they actually produce the money for it.
Well, it could be used as a developmental league for like the NFL and all that too.
Yeah, as guys that did get highly rated out of college, it gives. I'm all for them. All right, thank y'all for tuning in. I hope you have a great and wonderful day. We'll see y'all on the flip side. Have a good day, Fishbowl Nation.
Have a good day. Merry Christmas, Fishbowl, and stay safe.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.